You're watching Tackle Talk Live, now into our 6th season as your #1 resource for bass tournament information, with a primary focus on both Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn. Your hosts, Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff and Territory Manager for Sportco Marketing, Kevin Jean. Two guys with years of successful tournament experience on all levels. Guys who understand the importance of good information. Anglers willing to share their knowledge to help you become a better angler. So pay close attention as these guys give you more insight on how, when, and where to catch winning stringers. Here are your hosts of Tackle Talk Live, Steve Graff and Kevin Jean.
Welcome to another edition of Tackle Talk Live. I'm Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff, along with Territory Manager for Sportco Marketing down there in Lafayette, Louisiana, Kevin Jean. And Kevin, I had a guy I said I was going to remember his name too. Randy. He lives right there at Sam Rayburn, close to Monterey Park. Anyway, he came over, introduced himself, talked about how he watches us and everything. And but anyway, Randy, we appreciate you watching. And so I had 2 or 3 people while I was over there. I was over there for basically a week, and had a lot of people that, you know, hey, watch the show. Guys at the weigh-in, guys at the tournament, they really appreciate it. Guys talking before takeoff. Hey, man, we love the show. Keep doing what y'all do. And so we appreciate the feedback. We really do.
No, absolutely. And I as well, Steve. I've been over at Rayburn the last week or so, trying to help some dealers get ready for last week or so, on and off through different days, trying to help dealers get ready for the Sealy this week and get some stuff in. And you know, I've seen a couple guys in the store just, you know, hey man, love Tackle Talk, keep doing what y'all doing, and you know, things like that. We appreciate it. You know, it's any positive feedback, any feedback whatsoever, we'll take. We do enjoy, you know, hearing the guys, you know, or we see the, you know, people are watching it, but to hear it just, you know, that helps for sure.
And speaking of Sealy, Kevin, can you kind of give our viewers an idea? You know, Sealy does it a little different. They bring in vendors that set up, whether it's electronics, rod and reels, whatever. Who are some of the people that you can probably expect to see at the Sealy?
Well, I mean, that's their sponsors. To the list of Sealy sponsors, I'm not sure of. I know it's usually Lowrance or somebody, you know, different ones. So whoever is Sealy sponsors will be set up there at that event, you know. But man, there will be, you know, every bait and tackle store will be filled full to the brim of workers and people there and salesmen, so on and so forth. It's just a great week, Steve. You know, it's the biggest tournament of the year on Sam Rayburn.
Yeah.
It'll be people coming from all over to fish this thing. You know, so it's just a great week for the whole community in general. So, and I hear there's a very large high school tournament the same weekend as the Sealy. I don't know who did that scheduling, but wow.
Yeah, I don't know who had that brainstorm, but that was not a good one. And I can't imagine. I mean, as crowded as the lake was this past weekend when I was over there, bringing in Sealy now on top of that one, I just was like, I can't imagine how crowded it's going to be. But and speaking of Rayburn, this week we'll wrap up the Solo 150 that I participated in, and I was strictly a participant. Toledo Bend Bass Series, we've got the results from them. They had a North Toledo Bend event, and we'll go over their results. Special guest today. Kevin, tell us who we got for special guests.
Mr. Brian Bronham. Steve, I think we have him on every year, the week before the Sealy Outdoors event, the past 2 or 3 years for sure. You're not going to get a better lake breakdown, what the fish is doing, what's going on in the lake. You're not going to get a better fishing report than Brian Bronham gives. That's why we have him on every year. It's one of our most viewed shows every year because of that.
Yeah, and if you're tuned in and you got buddies going to fish Sealy, call them right now. Tell them to tune in. We're fixing to give you some really good tips. I've even got a couple at the end of the show. I'm going to give about some ways I caught. I average probably 30 fish a day over the weekend and when I was there for 4 days. And I'm telling you, there's one bait I was throwing a lot. And one of the baits Kevin knows very well. He knows what I like to throw there. But there's another one that I was throwing that just really, I caught a lot of fish. And we'll go over all that. Kevin, major boating accidents this past week. MLF and MPFL both had accidents take place on the water. I guess my question is, with as many people as we're having on the water, is this going to continue? Is this going to be a trend? Is it going to get worse?
I mean, God, I hope not, Steve, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer is here. There's a lot going on when you're driving a boat with all the grass we have now. and I don't hear that was any of the problem this past week. I'm hearing different things, but I mean, I can definitely see it where there's a lot going on when you're driving a boat, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It was, man, I hate hearing it, and there was 3 people that lost their life over there. Man, horrible, horrible. Prayers and thoughts goes out to the family, but unfortunately, this is starting to happen a little bit more. But really, is it, Steve, or is it just social media and we hear it more? But it is happening more on the pro side. This is the most 2 in 1 week.
Yeah.
This is the most I could recall in a long, long time, especially for a pro event.
Well, it
So
seems like the last 2 or 3 years we've been averaging at least two a year.
yeah,
Somebody getting hurt, either not always being killed, but seriously hurt or injured, had to go to the hospital. This time it was bad. I mean,
yeah,
it was bad. So here's another thing: it's being pushed, Kevin. It's on social media. It's all over the place, and there's people, especially this would really affect the tournament bass fishing world if they put a speed limit of 55 miles per hour on these lakes with bass tournaments.
yeah. I
I
mean,
could see that happening.
I can definitely see that in some instances, like rivers, Red River being an instance. Um, and I don't think that's a bad thing, in some instances, but like Lake Charles, like Toledo being and Sam Rayburn, do we really need a speed limit there? I don't know, Steve. I don't know what the answer is for it. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just a very unfortunate deal.
But it won't shock.
People have to do a better job of paying attention when
Yes.
they're driving their bass boat. We have too many things going on, that is taking us all. We're watching other boats fishing or so on and so forth. We've got to do a better job paying attention while you're driving that bass boat, especially at a high speed.
And another thing that a lot of you anglers, well, not just anglers, boaters, anybody that's driving a jet ski, a bass boat, a party barge, any pleasure boat, any of those categories, the state of Alabama has implemented a new rule. You have to have a boater safety course
Yeah.
to fish, to jet ski, to pleasure boat. You've got to have that course, or they're going to write you a ticket now. And so that may be coming for other states. Thank God I've already taken my 6-hour course on the internet. I got that over with, but I have my paperwork. I'm good to go. Did I learn anything that I didn't already know? Maybe a couple of things, especially when it came to what certain flags mean, which we hardly ever see a flag on stuff we do. But if I got in intercoastal and I see certain buoys, I would know what they mean now that I might not have known before. But general navigation for what I do on tournaments, I breezed right through all that. So, but anyway, that could be coming to a state near you pretty soon. That may be required that you have that. So, all right, Hackney wins the NPFL on Lake Norman by 11 ounces. Great event. Matter of fact, next week on Hooking Up and Tracking Down show that I have, where Greg's going to be on with us to go over how he won that event. But I tell you, I mean, it was fun to watch. That's the first video I've watched of the NPFL, Kev, in terms of how they're producing. They did a good job of covering the anglers.
They really do. They do a good job. They have a very good live coverage. I've watched some in the past. I didn't get to watch last week with Hackney, but man, how fun was it to see Hackney back in the winner's circle? How fun was it to see him on the final day have a chance to win it? Man, it brought all the good fishing vibes back. There's so much negativity in the pro world right now. Man, it felt good seeing Hackney up there, see him do it how he does it. And I enjoyed going back and watching it. I didn't get to see it live, but I watched some clips and just knowing, Hackney's still there, watching him talk about it going into the championship day. Just brought some good positivity, some good vibes back to the sport, in my opinion.
Well, it reminded you of how it used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it was fun. This is when it was fun to watch, And I didn't hear any commentators either talking negative about forward facing sonar or even bringing it up. It was never even brought up, which was kind of refreshing for me not to have to hear all the negativity about all that. Good gosh, let's move on. But anyway, all right, we're going to take a quick break, recognize a few of our sponsors. When we return, we're going to bring Brian Brannum on. So get your buddies, tell them to tune in. We'll be right back. You're watching Tackle Talk Live.
A good marine dealer is hard to find, but a great dealer is even harder. But in Iowa, Louisiana, there's a marine dealer that falls into the great category. Power Implements Marine, South Louisiana's go-to dealer for all things related to the boating industry. A Minn Kota, Garmin, and Mercury dealer, guaranteeing you first-rate service in both sales and repair. A great selection of new and used boats to choose from, including Skeeter, G3, Ranger, Camus, and Go Devil. A knowledgeable staff that will treat you like family and are always willing to go the extra mile to ensure you walk out a happy customer. To see everything they have to offer, go to powerimplements.com or stop by 606 East Miller Street in Iowa, Louisiana. Plus, mention Tackle Talk Live and save $500 off a new or pre-owned boat or $50 off your first service ticket. Toledo Health is a full-service primary and acute care clinic. Nurse practitioners Jarrett Rule and Melissa Vines bring quality health care that's needed and convenient to the area. Nothing is worse than being sick on your family or fishing getaway. Whether it's a stomach virus or a hook in the hand, Toledo Healthcare will try and meet all your health care needs. Appointments available and walk-ins are always welcome. So the next time you're feeling down at Toledo Bend, stop by Toledo Healthcare, located on Highway 6 just south of Toledo Town, or call 318-508-5323. Very few stores are a complete one-stop shop, but Cypress Knee Outdoors is such a place. A store within a store. Cypress Knee is located inside 3J's four-way. Whether you need gas, food, drinks, or bait and tackle, they have it. Cypress Knee Outdoors carries top-name fishing brands like Strike King, Sandtone, Spro, and V&M. Crappie jigs from Bobby Garland. Need hunting gear? They have it. Ammunition from rifle to shotgun shells. Deer scents from Buck Wild and Doe and Heat. Deer stands from Titan and feeders from T-Hanger. Cypress Knee has it all. Located off I-49, exit 127, just south of Natchitoches, Louisiana. So stop by Cypress Knee Outdoors and let John Abram and his staff show you everything they have to offer. Or give them a call at 318-238-HUNT.
You're watching Tackle Talk Live, a show dedicated to making you a better angler. Now back to the guys with all the inside scoop, Kevin Jean and Steve Graff.
All right, welcome back to Tackle Talk Live. We got some communication issues going on. We're trying to get Brian on.
I'll go over some results here real quick.
All right, this segment is presented by Keith Toledo Bend Tackle, the Lakes Insurance of Nacogdoches, Toledo Health Clinic, Cypress Knee Outdoors, Toledo Bend Bass Series, Shimano, and Power Implements Marine, located in Iowa, Louisiana. And if you mention Tackle Talk Live, you get $500 off the purchase of a new or used boat, or $50 off your first service ticket. Kevin, back to you.
All right. So this past weekend, the Toledo Bend Bass Series had North versus South event. It was North this weekend. So let's see, is the North event number 5. Again, North is be above Pendleton Bridge. First place was Gary West and Nathan Roughton, had 2365 with a 5.28 big fish. That was 2365 with a 5.2 big fish. They have 5 of the right ones for sure. Second place, Ronald Madul had 20.29 with a 7.36 big fish. Third place, Tristan Andropont and Luis Fontana, 18.8. They had a 7.93 big fish. Fourth place, Larmy Hill, Brian Wolf had 1788. And fifth place, Colby Hand, Jennifer Hand had 1769. A whole bunch of 17-pound bags. Let's see. Hunter Despino, Kevin Lazion, sixth place, 1797, but they had a penalty, a half-pound penalty. The last place check was 8th place, Todd Jackson, Chris Lee.
Well, Kevin, obviously they had a good turnout for that event at Toledo Bend.
50 something boats. 50 something boats.
And you're looking at now, of course, this is what tournament? Yeah, event number 5. You're starting.
Yeah, but it was event number 5. I don't think he's rescheduled one of the other ones yet either.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did have to cancel one.
But I mean, he's had some bad luck with weather and wind, and of course we all have. Wind's been so horrible
Yeah.
day, on the lakes. So
Wind has not been our friend in 2025. I can tell you, it was Sam Rayburn. It was absolutely Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It was really. All right, we got you, Brian. You there? What? We normally folks don't have these kind of issues, but some reason today, well, Brian calling me now. Hey, Brian.
Said global something. We'll try to locate your party and then tell them
I can hear him. I can hear him just fine, Steve.
Okay. All
right. Brian, look, I think we have you on every year at this time. This week, Sealy Outdoors, probably the biggest tournament going on Sam Rayburn this year. Man, we wanted to get you back on to give us a lake report, give us a fishing report, just kind of tell us what people need to know to expect coming to the lake this week. If this is the first time they've been on Rayburn this year.
Well, first thing to know is that they're running the water real hard. That's a big factor. The lake level is about half a foot above pool, and it's been coming down steady basically for about 3 weeks. And running that dam and the water coming down is good and bad. It's good because the lake's in real good condition, pretty clear everywhere. A lot of times that'll make it dirty by pulling the backwater out, but that's kind of over with. So it's not coming down too fast. So, if you're coming in, you're going to see pretty much the same conditions throughout this week. As far as the fishing, the shad spawn is the big story, first of all. We're in the latter part of the shad spawn, but it's still prevalent.
Well,
and
I want to butt in right here.
Sure.
My entire crew of 4 of us that stay together, only one of us found any kind of shad spawn anywhere on that lake. And I don't know where these fish are doing the shad spawn thing, but they wasn't north of 147 Bridge anywhere I could find them. And I was like,
the shad spawn is similar to the bass spawn. It has a temperature that triggers it, along with a number of minutes of daylight, just like bass. But the temperature for shad spawn is 70-degree water temp, generally, plus or minus. Bass, if you launch your boat here on Sam Rayburn and the temperature is 60 degrees, when you launch your boat in the morning, they're spawning all over this lake. If you launch your boat in the morning, that's 70 degrees of shatter spawn.
Yeah.
And that's just a rule of thumb, but that's the way it's been for a very, very long time. When it gets to 80, the bass are kind of leaving the shallows for the most part, except for some brim feeding and so forth. The shad are spawning mostly on the main lake south of the 147 Bridge, some up in Ash Bayou. I talked to Corbett Ross, a friend of mine, this morning before going out. I'm talking to you from on the lake. And incidentally, my client just caught a 5-pounder off a nest in 6 feet of water.
There you go.
But anyway, so, there's a little bit of spawning going on too still. But back to the shad spawn, it's just like the bass. I usually catch them first up above Shirley Creek. And then on down the lake, I'll follow the spawn. As far as the bass goes, same goes with shad. And you'll see the shad spawn more readily south in the bigger water that cools a little bit slower.
Well, you just said that your guy with you today just caught a 5-pounder off a bed.
No, that was a female. Her name is Sue. It's not a guy.
Okay. By the time
her husband is here too, and he got to watch that. I had to have her hurry up and reel up a little bit of a backlash because the fish had already eaten her lure.
Yeah, okay. So can someone go out, find a bedfish this coming weekend, find a bedfish, zero in on it, and maybe catch a real big one off a bed to cash a check in this event?
100% for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what happened last year. And I had last year's winter in the boat, 4th day ago. And we
had him on the show. That was a great interview. We had him on the show, and he, how he caught it, how it all went down. I still recall that's one of my favorite episodes, just because of how he went into detail on how it went down, catching that fish off the bed. He had no idea it was that big, but yeah, we had him on. That was a great interview.
Did he tell you that they found the fish with electronics or sight?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
No, it was electronics.
Yeah, yeah. I was not a great distance apart from them when they found the fish.
Yeah.
And I know both those guys real well, 25,
Yeah.
30 years. Anyway, that same exact thing just happened in this boat not 5 seconds before I got on the phone with you. We were still releasing the fish. And those fish are all around me right now on a little bit deeper spawning beds than you would think.
Yeah. So, Brian, if somebody was trying to catch it, if somebody's trying to catch a check for this weekend, what would be the best way for them to go out? What would be the best technique, best lure to go out and maybe catch a check?
There's two that come to mind. One would be a Zoom fluke, the other would be a Yamamoto Senko.
Yeah.
And those would be in the standard sizes that you always use, you know, the regular fluke and the regular 5-inch Senko.
Yeah.
And if at all possible, you know, those baits would be weightless. If not, I'd control them with a split shot or something.
Keep it simple, watermelon red.
It's real simple, man. Any watermelon color in the sun and a little bit darker, maybe green pumpkin and overcast or dark. Just basics. I'm using different shades of black and blue and just all of those Senkos and the number 925, I think it is. Use that one a lot. I only carry 3 colors in the boat most of the time. I got to have so many, you know, that I can't carry 15 colors. Will run out during the day and won't anywhere to sit in the boat if I carry too many.
Yeah.
I know what they get. I know what they'll buy. If you can't catch them on 2 or 3 different colors, you're probably not going to catch them. And I carry, you know, 100 of each one or something.
Yeah. What about hay grass? Swim jig around the hay grass.
Part of all this, you know, you were talking about number one. Well, right up there close, you know, we had 3 in the 4-pound range and 1 5-pounder on one run in the shad spawn Thursday. So you can run into fish in that shad spawn and probably will if you get on a good one. In the first hour or 2 of daybreak of this tournament, if you get on one of those good runs, I mean, anywhere like a swim jig's what we were using, but you know, anything that'll come through that hay and not get hung and look like a white flash, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have been catching a few on floating worm too.
Brian, my question for you here is, with the amount of people that's going to be on the lake this weekend, for somebody, how is the offshore bite? And I'm not talking, they don't have to be out in 20, 30 foot of water, but for a guy that does not want to have to go down the bank behind 500 other boats in one pocket, is there an offshore bite, or is there some fish off the bank a little bit that these guys can get out and, you know, that there is a, you know, good amount of fish out there at all?
Again, that's a 100%. And we did that for the last 2 hours here out today. Before I was kind of waiting for these fish to set up a little bit. It's pretty classic stuff going on. You just got to think different. For the fish that are coming in now, you know, they still like other fish. They're getting on stuff a little bit later, but we're fishing first and second drop after the shad spawn. Those fish don't go very far, but with the lack of grass, they're just going to be classic fish. You know, they're going to find structure nearby and wait for that shad spawn again. The ones that are, you know, resident in that area to start with, and they'll maintain a pretty close distance to that occurrence, and they'll go back. It's just like the birds, you know, they'll go in the mornings around it sometimes. Hadn't seen a lot of it this year, but they'll just go right up in those pine trees and roost nearby, and then they'll be back down there the next morning. We used to run the bank looking for those birds roosting back in the pines, knowing that they're near where it's going to happen. Does that make sense? So the bass are the same. They just back off the nearest, you know, reasonably good structure and wait out the shad spawn. I mean, that's my opinion on what's happening, but the fish definitely do what I'm saying.
All right, scopers. There'll be a fair share of the number of those guys out there this week. What depth should those guys be focusing on if they're a scoper?
That, and you're right. The scopers, kind of the ones that are legal to fish the tournament, are going to flock in, I'm sure. There's a lot of money up, a lot of guaranteed prizes and so forth. They will find targets, mostly in the post-spawn range. Those fish are going to be classic for that time of year. Standing timber suspended, brush pile suspended over the top of drops. They'll swim laterally out from the bank when they get through spawning. And then they'll just suspend at the same depth they were spawning in, plus or minus 3 feet, because that's what depth they're acclimated to. And then they'll slowly get down back down in the water table. And you're going to find them. Also, there's going to be a fair amount of the fish that made it to spawn in February. We definitely had a few go. And those fish are just completely back to acting normal, and those fish will be encountered just on break lines, ponds, just various things, standing timber, hard areas, along ridges. And a lot of those scuppers, they've just got 3 or 4 baits they use, and they just move along in these classic areas. And as they encounter those fish, they just work for them when they find them.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of that. I mean, post-spawn really puts them in a good spot for looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
We used to hate post-spawn, but now it really directs you to where to go look for them once you have scope.
Yeah.
Brian, overall fishing's pretty good, of course. I mean, what's your thoughts for this weekend? Fishing's going to be pretty good. Weather's looking pretty good, I think. I haven't looked at it that much, but with last year, fishing was phenomenal. The guys hit it. I want to say it was last year. They hit it right on the head. How's fishing going to be this weekend overall? Even though we're going to get a lot of boats on, I'm expecting some big weights.
Well, first of all, the lake is in incredibly good shape as far as fish go. I think it was probably third year ago that the entire spawn process, the entire 5 months before and after, was flooded. Yeah. And that put a very large amount of 3 to 4 pound class fish in the lake. You've seen the evidence of that in some tournaments where it's just a tremendous amount of 15-pound stringers. Now, that's not unusual here, but if you really check some of those tournaments, it's fairly unusual down to 60th place,
Yeah.
And it's just a good year, okay? There's a lot of fish in the lake. Just like those 3-pounders were a little bitty then and made it, a lot of bigger fish made it, longer. And subsequent spawns and subsequent stocking every year, 500,000 fingerlings. So, yes, the lake's in good shape. There will be tons of fish caught. There'll be a lot weighed in for the 3-pound even and 4-pound even. It won't be that unusual for them to get them this time. And that being said, that's kind of related to why I say multiple patterns here. I mean, scopers are going to have good targets. There are a few bass still spawning. That's a difficult kind of hill to climb, really, but it is a legitimate strategy. And then the shad spawn. The shad spawn can create some really large fish. Those that are accustomed to making the most out of it they'll fish larger top waters and maybe glide baits and some longer swim baits and stuff like that without getting really right in the mix and catch some of these fish that are a little more apprehensive to get right up in there, get 1 or 2 bites, but they'll be the right bites.
What about how important is the water they're drawing? How important they're generating? How important is it to pay attention to that schedule when they're releasing water?
I'd be lying to you or misleading you if I told you that I'm paying very, very close attention to that for any reason. I'm not.
Yeah.
The lake is fishing well. I mean, I know I'm speaking from someone who fishes most days, and I can't speak for everyone. The tournament anglers are certainly catching a lot of fish. But for someone who's fishing this lake every day right now, it's pretty hard to go out there and not catch them. I mean, if you're really every day. So I'm not really the one to ask on that one. It's not bad to be running. I mean, it was running most of 24 hours a few times. It didn't seem to have much of an effect.
Yeah. Okay. Good deal.
Good deal. Good info, Brian. I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, Brian, we appreciate it.
The biggest effect of the running water, here's a big one. The biggest effect of the running water is if we do have a locally heavy downpour, which happens here all the time without warning, it will pull that water out of every major cove on this lake and create off-colored water on the entire lake for a brief period of time. So that's something to consider. If we get a downpour and you're fishing back somewhere, you can expect it to be affected.
And they're calling for heavy rain, I think, Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, it will immediately affect and it will progress for a certain period of time. But then again, the backs of those big creeks like Beach, Caney Mud, and Harvey, they'll mud up a little bit, but they're also the first to clear when it all gets pulled out of there.
Yeah.
So you just got to kind of be aware of the fact that it is, if they're running the dam in a floodgate type run, while that big rain or shortly after that big rain happens, it's going to mess things up briefly. It doesn't mess them up for a week or even for the duration of the tournament, but you'll see some changes and you'll have to adjust.
All right.
Like more bulky baits and stuff like that will be better. If it comes, because I mean we're in a fairly backwater area here, and it's really good water clarity, especially with no grass.
Yeah. All right, Brian, we appreciate it, man.
Hey, I was going to tell you, I don't know, I'm going to be around Tackle Addict store on Friday evening for 2 or 3 hours. If anybody has any questions or wants direction toward lures or anything like that, I'm going to be helping them out a little bit after that day up there. And the guy told me that they asked me to mention that the sign up is 10 to 8 on Thursday. And that they wanted me to also mention any women that are thinking about fishing, any females, they need to think about it real hard because they're doing a female only overall this year for the first time, second, third. It's a fairly large amount of money there. And that's new, and it'll be a little more exciting. Everyone does have to come to the registration, but it'll be a very short line if they've already registered and a little longer line if they haven't. And that ends at 6:00 today, the pre-registration
online. Yeah, online registration. Okay.
In case anybody didn't know that, I thought I'd forward that to everybody.
No, that's good information. People need to know that. So we appreciate it.
I would definitely get it done. So that line's so short for the already registered compared to the other one, it'd be nice.
Yes. Speed things up for you. All right.
Yes, sir.
Brian, we appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Today. Yeah.
Hey, thanks a lot. You guys be careful.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Brian Bronham, great report, Kevin, as usual, and gave some good detail.
Brian breaks it all down. That is for sure.
Yeah, he gives you all the details you want and then some. So, but anyway, he did a good job. And so we're going to take another quick break. When we return, we've got tournament results. We got lake level reports. I've got a tip of the week and upcoming tournaments. So we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll go over all this. Now, you already gave the results, though, didn't you?
One. We still have to go over results.
Yeah, we'll go over the solo 150
150.
results, and we'll skip over my name. But anyway, we'll go over the rest of them, how everybody did. You're watching Tackle Talk Live. We'll be right back.
The Lakes Insurance Agency is an independent insurance agency taking care of Texans' insurance needs for over 25 years, offering auto, homeowners, boat, RV, life, health, and commercial insurance. Owner Clark Moore is a local fishing guide and tournament angler who understands your insurance needs and wants to be your go-to guy for all your insurance needs. For a free quote, give him a call and see why so many Texans trust the Lake Insurance Agency. 2 locations to serve you in both Nacogdoches Nacogdoches, and Broadus, Texas. Or give them a call at 936-205-4467. The next time you're headed for Toledo Bend or Sam Rayburn, stop by Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle. They have an awesome supply of everything you'll need to catch the big ones. Whether your trip calls for bass fishing, white perch tackle, catfish bait, or the ultimate fighting shiners, Keith's Tackle has you covered. Keith and former Elite Series pro Ben Matsubu also have the latest information on what, how, and where you need to be fishing on Sam Rayburn or the Bend. So for all your tackle needs, check out Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle, located just off Highway 21 on the Texas side of Toledo Bend, or call 409-625-0181. You're watching Tackle Talk Live, a show dedicated to making you a better angler. Now back to the guys with all the inside scoop, Kevin Jean and Steve Graff.
Welcome back to Tackle Talk Live, our final segment. This segment's presented by Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle, the Lakes Insurance of Nacogdoches, Toledo Health Clinic. Get a hook in your hand. Hey, go see those guys. And if you're not feeling well this week, hey, stop by there, get you some good drugs, and go fishing. Cypress Knee Outdoors, Shimano, and Power Implements Marine, located right there in Iowa, Louisiana, as well as Toledo Bend Bass Series, Kevin.
Yeah, Steve. So, guys, if you're not following or are involved with the Toledo Bend Bass Series, you need to go check them out. It's a new series on Toledo Bend this year. I think there are 4 tournaments in. ToledoBendBassSeries.com. Again, it is a north versus a south type of tournament. This past weekend, it was north of Bridge. That is the Pendleton Bridge. Tournament number 6 will be May 31st. That will be south of the bridge. $180 entry fee, 100% trailering, no guides, no pros, and no live scope. So here's your chance to go, fish a tournament series all on Toledo Bend with no scope. 2-day championship will be in September. It'll be September 20th and 21st. The 20th will be north of the bridge, and the 21st will be south of the bridge. So make sure, give them a follow on Facebook, and also, again, ToledoBendBassSeries.com.
All right. Appreciate that. All right. ABA Solo 150 results from Sam Rayburn this past 2-day event, last Friday and Saturday. The winner had a total of 61.21 pounds. That was Jace Lindsay from Beckville, Texas. Day 1, he came in with 31.2, and on day 2, he came in with 30.01 for a 2-day total of 61.21. Zane Parker, who we had on last week, I believe, Zane on, he came in second at a really good event. He had 58.43 total. He had 25.52 on day 1, 32.91. Biggest string of the tournament was weighed in by Zane on the second day. And so he finished second. Wyatt Frankens, who we've had on the program this year, from Corrigan, Texas, he came in third. He had 29.47 and 23.09 for a total of 52.56. Zach Fogel, a good friend of the program, a good friend of mine, a guy I'm competing against a lot. Zach's from Longview, Texas. He finished fourth. He had 15.44, and second day he had a really good bag of 24.24. He jumped up to fourth place and finished out with 39.68. Walt Stevens, one of my roommates, a guy that we stay together a lot on the road, great guy, great angler, finished fifth. He had another good guy that had a good second day. He had 13.24 on day 1, 18.60 on day 2 for a 31.84. Kevin, the wind died down on day 2 from daylight till about probably 11 o'clock. It laid on us for the first time in 5 days. It finally let guys get on the main lake, especially guys that like to scope or fish offshore. It allowed them to do that. And I think that's why the weights were what they were.
Right.
6 was Randy Capil from Cradle, Texas. He had 15.29 on day 1, 14.57 for a 29.96 tournament. Robert Sparks was 7th with 27.93. Caleb Johnston was from Greenville, Texas, was 8th. He had 27.52. Adrian James, one of my roommates from Winfield, he was 9th. He had 26.08. Clayton Bullware, everybody knows who Clayton is, Albert Collins' old partner. Clayton was 10th. He came in with 25.07. Brad Hortman, another one of my roommates, he came in from Natchitoches. He came in 11th, with 22:08, and I was 12th with 21:73. So again, pretty good turnout. Would love to see more people fish this. I actually ran into a couple of guys fishing the Federation on day 2 of the tournament. They were fishing their first day, and 2 or 3 of them guys actually, I said, fishing ABA Solo 150, and they act like they're going to try to jump in that next year. So I said, hey, come on, more the merrier. And it's a great circuit. Chris Wayne does a great job of running this event, all the ABA circuits. So would love to have any. Next one will be Lake Palestine in 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, really. But anyway, that's the third and final event for the year. If you want to fish it just to see what it's all about and how you like it, that would be a good tournament to go fish. So,
So this weekend, Steve, upcoming tournaments, April 25th, 26th, 27th, Sealy Big Bass Splash. And I said a while ago, it's going to be good weather. It is going to be raining, I think, Friday.
yeah.
And then Saturday, Sunday, though, I think is looking pretty good. I don't know what the wind is doing.
Yeah, like I said, the wind has not been our friend this
No,
year.
it definitely does not. Let me take a glance at it here real quick.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. While you're doing that, Bass Champs will be April 26th on Lake Belton this coming weekend. Sunday, Elite Outdoors Individual Lake of the Pines, no forward-facing sonar event. This is their solo for Elite Outdoors. It'll be held on Sunday. May 3rd, the Trey Burford Memorial, Toledo Bend, out of Sammy Gill. And I believe is Matthew and them with Toledo Bend Bass Series, are they kind of involved with that or something? Because
I don't think he's involved with it. I think he's just trying to help get the
they're
word
just
out.
promoting it.
Let
Okay.
me interrupt you right there, Steve. May 2nd and 3rd is the Elite 8 event. That is the new Elite 8. It's taking the place of the top 6 in Louisiana at Toledo Bend. It's going to be May 2nd and 3rd, your best top 8 from the club members. I'm actually going to be fishing that one with some of the Toledo Bend guys, but I've heard of some guys fishing both the Trey Burford and the Elite 8 event. So you have to call and ask how you can do that. But I heard of some guys that are fishing both.
Okay. All right. May 3rd, Bass Champs. Again, May 3rd, as Kevin and I have alluded to the last week or so, it is loaded with tournaments. Bass Champs will be on Ray Roberts. Texas Team Trail will be on Belton Lake. ABA Louisiana Pro League is on Caddo. And I want to correct that with somebody they asked me, said, well, I thought it was on Cross. I thought he just moved it back to Caddo because the boat ramp was open. Fishing is so much better on Caddo anyway. Trust me, you don't want to go to Cross Lake unless you just absolutely had to. And then Jimmy Granger Team Trail will also take place down here in my neck of the woods on Black Lake. And also May 3rd, Fishers of Men, Texas East, Sam Rayburn.
Yeah, you definitely have enough to fish on May 3rd that weekend. So what I'm seeing here, Steve, 30% chance of rain on Friday, wind south at 5 to 10. Saturdays, south-southeast 5 to 10. Sunday, the winds pick up a little bit, south 10 to 15, but not horrible, not great, but not horrible either.
Yeah, and of course, we all know Toledo Bend is, if it's a south wind out of Toledo Bend, that's right down the pipe. Rayburn, if it's southeast or northwest, that's right down the pipe. And it don't take much wind for that place to get to rocking either. I found that out the other day. And but anyhow, okay. Lake levels. Right now, Toledo Bend 171.68. It is 3.84 inches low. It's had a 10-day gain of 5.16 inches and a 24-hour gain of 3 inches. So it's actually still coming up. Sam Rayburn 164.81. It's 4.92 inches above pool. I think that's pretty much what Brian Bronham was saying a while ago. It's right at pool. 10-day loss 11.16 inches. So they have been pulling. They were pulling on it the whole time I was there from Tuesday on. Lake of the Pines. Lake of the Pines, a little different situation. 234.17 is the elevation. That is 4.17 feet above pool, 4 feet above pool. It's had a 10-day loss of 6.72 feet. So they've been pulling on it hard. 24-hour loss of 1.92 inches. Lake Fork over there, Johnny Geis over there does a lot of guiding over there. 402.76. It's 2.88 inches low. It's had a 10-day loss of 3 inches and a 24-hour loss of 0.12. So there you go for that. Anything with Shimano product today?
Not this week, Steve. Not this week. I'm still waiting on some new ones, new stuff to come in. As soon as it comes in, we'll start going over it a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about something here. I'm gonna give you guys another tip. Those of you going to Sam Rayburn, well, if I can get it untangled here.
What you
This
got?
week, this weekend, the past week, Kevin, I love a baby swamp hog, and I was actually throwing it on Tokyo rig and was getting a lot of bites on it. So my better fish actually came on the Gleason Candy baby swamp hog, but I think it was Thursday. I kind of started throwing a speed worm a little bit, especially around I could find some hay grass. I threw the speed worm, and the color you need to be throwing right now is red bug. It's any red bug color, what's a trick worm. If you're looking for what colors to throw, red bug right now, Rayburn is good. I threw the speed worm. Now, one little unique thing I did, I've got it set up Texas rig, as you can see right here. But one thing I did in several places, especially on a couple of road beds, I've got 2 bobber stoppers on here where I can slide the bobber stoppers up and lock that weight down about 6 to 8 inches above the hook, like a mini Carolina rig. And I'm telling you right now, around them road beds right now, they will eat this right here. So if you're looking for something different to do, you just put 2 bobber stoppers on. Put the first bobber stopper on, put your weight. I was throwing a 3/8 to 5/16 weight most of the time, depending on the wind. And then I put another bobber stopper on the bottom. Again, makes you kind of peg your sinker. And again, you got about 4 to 6 inches that you can run it as far as you want. You can run it 2 feet if you want to, but I didn't. I had mine about 4 to 6 inches above the bait, and it really seemed to trigger a lot of strikes. So that's just a tip. You'll catch a lot of fish on it. Hopefully you catch some big ones. So, but anyway. All right. That's all I got.
All I got for this week, Steve. Good luck to everybody fishing this weekend. Be careful out there.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of boats on the water this weekend. Be careful. Number one, again, like Brian said, any ladies, make sure to get registered for the Bass Cash Bash.
Yeah.
But also get registered for the Sealy event this week because they have a ladies division now. So,
and if you are going to Rayburn, let's see, is Bass Cash Bash still going on there? Is it through Memorial Day? I think it is. I don't know. It may be done.
I think it might be done on Rayburn.
Yeah, I think it is done.
I don't know. You have to check, but it's going on wide open on Toledo Bend. I know that.
Yes, that is true. That is true. So if you hadn't signed up for a Bass Cash Bash, make sure you do so. Okay. All right. And again, as Kevin said, be careful. We don't need any major boating accidents. We don't want to be talking about somebody next week on this program about how somebody got killed or run over or put in the hospital. So be careful out there. All right. Thank you for tuning us in. Please check us out on our Facebook page, YouTube, Instagram, however way you listen to a podcast. If you'd like to become a member of our sponsorship team, please message us on our Facebook page, and Kevin will get you a detailed packet out immediately. For Kevin Jean, yours truly, Steve Graff. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week with more Tackle Talk Live.